NAFDAC and NCDC to determine whether such medical incidences were connected to the vaccination.
The federal government has also recently received communication from COVAX facility for additional allocation of 3,924,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines, which according to the supply forecast will be available for delivery into the country by late July or early August 2021. Similarly, the government is procuring a total of 29,850,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines through the African Union Commission and the Afreximbank arrangement. This is expected by September 2021. Nigeria continues to have the highest vaccination rates in Africa, with approximately 87,000 people being vaccinated every day.
Let's hit the politics. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) says it is watching developments in Zamfara State following reports of plan by the State Governor Bello Matawalle to cross over to the All Progressives Congress (APC). The PDP, in a press statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary Kola Ologbondiyan, cautioned Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State to know that his plans amount to a decision to vacate office, as no law allows him to cross over to any other party with a governorship mandate statutorily given to the PDP through the ballot box, as already established by the provision of the 1999 Constitution as amended and the standing judgment of the Supreme Court. The PDP also cautioned members of the National Assembly as well as members of the Zamfara State House of Assembly not to allow themselves to be pushed into losing their seats, as the provisions of the Constitution was very clear in barring lawmakers from cross-carpeting, except in the situation of a division in the political party upon which platform they were elected.
The People's Democratic Party is watching developments in Zamfara State as this concern reports of plans by the State Governor Bello Matawalle to cross over to the All Progressives Congress. The PDP categorically cautions the Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle to know that his plans amount to a decision to vacate office, as no law allows him to cross over to any other party with a governorship mandate statutorily given to the PDP through the ballot box, as already established by the provision of the 1999 Constitution as amended and the standing judgment of the Supreme Court. The PDP also cautions members of the National Assembly as well as members of the Zamfara State House of Assembly not to allow themselves to be pushed into losing their seats, as the provisions of the Constitution is very clear in barring lawmakers from cross-carpeting, except in a situation of a division in the political party upon which platform they were elected. Meanwhile, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has approved the dissolution of Zamfara State Executive of the party. The decision is in line with the provisions of Section 29, subsection 2B of the PDP Constitution 2017 as amended.
The chairman, Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission, OISEC, Mr. Isiaka Olagunju, has said that the commission will pay allowance of the remaining ad hoc staff engaged for May 22nd local government election. Olagunju said in a statement in Ibadan that delay of the payment was due to inaccurate data supplied by the beneficiaries. He said that these called for verification to prevent unforeseen circumstances. Olagunju said that the commission had emergency engagements in terms of personnel on election day, which made it difficult for account department to rely largely on the master list for the payment. He said that the payment schedule for the remaining local governments had been sent to designated banks for further necessary actions. He noted that the commission was not selective in the payment and that the process was just to ensure transparency and accountability. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has assured residents in the state that significant progresses were being recorded on effort to address challenges of insecurity in the state. The governor gave the assurances when he received members of the National Assembly from Oyo State under the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in his office on a courtesy visit. Governor Makinde explained that his administration had continued to strengthen existing security architecture in the state and would not relent in collaborating with the federal government and federal establishments in providing the needed environment for businesses to thrive, while urging members of the National Assembly to regularly interface with their constituency so as to reduce pressure on the state government. Governor Makinde noted that he would have preferred a meeting with all members of the National Assembly representing the state from across various political parties in order to share thoughts and vision for the state and reduce the level of misinformation in the public space.
So I want to commend you, and I also want to ask that please continue in that direction. Well, for me, we will continue to provide, the environment for our state to thrive. We'll continue to cooperate and collaborate with the federal establishment. We're dealing with the issue of insecurity in Oyo State, and we're making progress. I can say that with all sense of seriousness and responsibility.
Speaking earlier on behalf of his colleague, Senator representing Oyo South Senatorial District, Senator Oluwaseun acknowledged the efforts of the governor in raising the bar of governance across all sectors within 2 years in office, adding that beyond blocking loopholes to prevent corruption, Governor Makinde has moved the state in terms of performance ranking.
I have the mandate of colleagues, my brothers, to let you know that we are aware of what you have been able to do in Oyo State.
Flash 105.5 FM. United Nations Human Rights Chief calls for reparations over racism, and FC Barcelona's Dembele out for 4 months after knee surgery. Now let's turn to the foreign scene. The United Nations Human Rights Council has urged global action, including reparations, to make amends for racism against people of African descent. Its new report also urges educational reform and apologies to address discrimination. The findings cite concerns in about 60 countries, including the UK, Belgium, France, Canada, Brazil, and Colombia. The study began after the murder of George Floyd, an unarmed black man, in U.S. police custody in 2020. The findings say protests about the Minnesota man's death and the conviction of a white policeman were a seven-up point in the fight against racism. In a statement, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Michelle Bachelet called on all states to stop denying and start dismantling racism and to listen to the voices of people of African descent. Rebel forces in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region have retaken its capital, Mekelle, sparking street celebrations and forcing officials to flee. Residents reported scenes of joy with fireworks and thousands waving flags. The government, which took Mekelle in November after rebels rejected political reforms and captured army bases, has now called a humanitarian ceasefire in the region. The fighting has left thousands dead, has pushed 350,000 towards famine, and more than 2 million have been displaced. And finally, sports news. FC Barcelona will be without Ousmane Dembele for 4 months as a forward has undergone knee surgery. The Spanish top side said that Dembele was operated in Turku, Finland, on dislocated distal tendon in the femoral biceps of his right knee. Dembele, age 24, suffered the injury playing for France against Hungary at Euro 2020 last week. The forward played 44 matches in all competitions for Barca last season, scoring 11 goals. He will now not play for them again until autumn. In tennis, Simona Halep yesterday became the latest high-profile player to withdraw from the Tokyo Olympics as she continues to battle a cold calf injury. The Romanian was hoping to go for gold in Tokyo next month, but she will not recover in time, having also missed the French Open and Wimbledon. This was because of the injury she sustained at last month's Rome Masters. She follows Serena Williams and Rafael Nadal in pulling out of rearranged games. Just before we go, a recap of the headlines. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has blamed corruption on poor contract negotiations in Nigeria. Governor Makinde has assured residents of progress in tackling insecurity. United Nations Human Rights Chief has called for reparations over racism. And FC Barcelona's Dembele out for 4 months after knee surgery. For more details on the news, visit our website at www.splashfm1055.com. And now you can download Splash FM mobile app on iOS, BlackBerry World, and Google Play Store to listen live, get news updates, opinion poll, and you can also report an event live to us through the iReport feature. To download, simply go to any of the stores mentioned and search for Splash FM 105.5 and then click.
We inform, that's why we are loved. More music, we are the best. The Integrity Station. Splash, splash, splash.
105.5.
Splash 105.5. Tune in and listen everywhere you go. We've got the city on lockdown.
Got my own city that I hold down.
We are Splash 105.5.
From the top of the Fisher Building.
This is
Detroit's number one hit music station.
Splash 105.5 FM, your integrity station.
Baba?
Yes, my son.
Tell me a story.
Millions of years ago, a meteorite made of vibranium, the strongest substance in the universe, struck the continent of Africa, affecting the plant life around it. And when the time of men came, 5 tribes settled on it and called it Wakanda.
Why?
We are black. We respect our culture. We